I'm announcing those actions. First, we'll build on our progress at the border with additional resources for our law enforcement personnel so that they can stem the flow of illegal crossings and the return of those who do cross over.
Again, this point becomes completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter how many border guards you have on the border if they're not allowed to do their job. We have many testimonies of border guards that are saying they cannot stop. They're just there, they're just letting people come through. And so until, Mr. President, you give them the ability to actually do their job, those are just empty words.
Second, I'll make it easier and faster for high-skilled immigrants, graduates, and entrepreneurs to stay and contribute to our economy, as so many business leaders have proposed. Third,
again, on that point, there's been a number of articles lately that actually say the primary objective of that is to drive down STEM worker jobs. We have actually, there's plenty of PhD in those fields that don't have a job. And so this is one of those things that even in the state of Utah, we've had a push for those jobs. But there was an article actually, and I give the Deseret News credit for actually publishing it, that talks about that and how what the president is just talking about is a myth.
Third, we'll take steps to deal responsibly with the millions of undocumented immigrants who already live in our country. I want to say more about this third issue because it generates the most passion and controversy. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felons, not families. Criminals, not children.
Of all the talking points, that talking point, felons, not families. The fact of the matter is, if somebody is working, they've committed basically 3 felons, as it is. They've lied, they've perjured themselves on the I-9 form. They must have stolen somebody's social security, and then they are working without authorization. All 3 of those are felons. So you, again, in this situation, have to redefine what a felon is. But it's also misleading very much because he talks about deportations. And one of these important issues on this is he's redefining what deportations are. Before, up until President Obama, somebody that came to the border and agreed to immediately go back, basically they were given a pass and say, we won't count that on this record if you voluntarily go back now. They were never counted as deportations before. Now President Obama is actually counting those as deportations.
Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. Prioritize, just like law enforcement does every day.
Okay, this is actually interesting. When you look at it, less than 10% of those children that have come across the border are less than 12 years old. So the vast majority of those, quote, children that we've talked across the border are older than 12. And many of those are gang members. And so I would ask the president, how many of those gang members have been deported so far? The fact of the matter is, it's less than 100.
But even as we focus on deporting criminals, the fact is millions of immigrants in every state, of every race and nationality, still live here illegally.
Okay, this is actually an important bit because he brings it down to every nation, every nationality. Here's the facts. According to the Pew Hispanic Center, 64% of those individuals are from Mexico. Another 18% are from Latin America. So 82% of those individuals are from one ethnic background, which makes up 7% of the world's population. That's actually the very definition of institutional racism. We are, as much as the president would like you to believe otherwise, we are discriminating against especially Asians that are trying to come here. If you ever look at the region of the world that's underrepresented for the population, it's Asians. But we are discriminating against Africans, Ethiopians. Ethiopians are Africans. But we're discriminating against Ukrainians and many other nations. So his very policy, don't be fooled what he is saying. It is affecting one ethnic group is actually getting the benefit.
And let's be honest, tracking down, rounding up, and deporting millions of people isn't realistic.
Again, this is the red herring. Because if it's not realistic, if we're not going to do any of it, then all of this is fluff, because everybody knows that it's not going to happen. There's no danger. He's admitting right here that he's never going to do that. Regardless that in the late 1940s, we deported over 1 million Mexicans back to Mexico when our World War II veterans started coming back. We have done it. But again, you can do it by enforcing the law a little. You don't have to do it all at once. And if you don't do it at all, if we're responsible or realistic, if we don't do it, people aren't going to be afraid of the threat.
Anyone who suggests otherwise isn't being straight with you. It's also not who we are as Americans. After all, most of these immigrants have been here a long time. They work hard, often in tough, low-paying jobs.
So basically what he's saying is Americans are those individuals that are willing to discriminate against people around the world, that are willing to do things the right way, that we're going to kick them in the face if they do things the right way. I don't think that's who we are as Americans. People look up to Americans. They see this as the great beacon of hope where there is justice. And what the president is doing is really saying to those people that are doing it the right way around the world, you're fools for trying to do it the right way.
They support their families. They worship at our churches. Many of their kids are American born or spent most of their lives here.
And this is one of the most interesting things. When you look at the president's plan of what he's talking about, who is the number one benefactor, the benefactor of his amnesty plan? It's actually parents of the children. So, in other words, we're rewarding those people the most, those that brought their kids here, had their kids born, and now they're getting rewarded because they broke the law. That's not how it should be.
And their hopes, dreams, and patriotism are just like ours. As my predecessor, President Bush, once put it, they are a part of American life.
And what about the hopes and dreams of the people around the world? I've actually been outside the U.S. embassies in Kiev and Moscow, and I've seen parents in tears when they were denied visas to come to this country. What about the hopes and dreams of those individuals? There are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people that have hopes and dreams that want to come to this country. Again, the fact of the matter is, Mr. President, the majority of these illegal aliens come from Mexico. If we're going to use the basis of dreams or standard of living, there's about 5 billion people that deserve more to come to this country than those from Mexico.
Now, here's the thing. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. That those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. So we're going to offer the following deal. If you've been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you register, pass a criminal background check, and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply to stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation.
Again, this is exactly what I was talking about. If you are the individual that broke the law and then had a child here, then we're going to reward you. And the other issue that he's bringing up is you have to stay 5 years. And so what this does is incentivize more people. Everybody is just going to come and just wait 5 years, and if as long as their 5 years is here, then they get to stay. The other thing that's not very realistic, Mr. President, is I can guarantee you anybody that even comes this month or next month will be able to buy forged documents that will verify that they've been here for 5 years. This 5-year requirement is absolutely ridiculous. Again, it's another red herring.